Okay, Cracker Jacks, so stick with me for just a minute as you think this through. What do you do when you have a mold that you want to do as a repaint? Naturally, you rename it. Such is the case, for example, with Siege Sideswipe. When he is white with a red head, it's Red Alert. When he's yellow, he's Tiger Track. When he's black with some blue, he is Deep Cover. But what happens when you have another one using the same rename? So we took the mold and we renamed it, but then we took the same mold and used the same name. Doesn't sit well with me, so what's going to become of this guy? This, of course, is the new Netflix War for Cybertron Wave 3 version of Autobot Deep Cover. And he, and who he's going to become, will be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot True review. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I am your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, light them up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton. It lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I am either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that is in the description down below. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we offer to you through Teespring, or of course hit the join button. That join button right here on YouTube. Become a channel member, baby. And this is the Netflix Deep Cover. Now, the Selects one also done this. There's actually, like, we're not going to look at the transformation. We've seen it a billion times. We have a fair amount of an idea of how he's going to function and work in the articulation stuff. So what are we going to focus on here? We're going to kind of explain why there's two versions of this guy, at least the understanding that has come to my ears. We're going to see kind of which coloration I like best, see who this guy is going to be renamed as, and when we reviewed this guy somewhat recently, I was a bit concerned that perhaps we're starting to see the hint of mold degradation. Is that continued here or not? So there's actually a few things to address and a few questions that need answers. So without any further ado, let's head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. Well, to my shock and amazement, Wave 3 of Netflix showed up. And it didn't show up very abundantly. We have 3 Walmarts here, and they got 1 case apiece. And they were gone like within an hour. It was super fast. Will we ever get a restock? Who knows? That being said, man, getting this wave together has been an adventure. That includes part of it coming from New York, part of it coming from Nova Scotia, as we'll see later on, and part of it locally. Wow, what a wild ride it's been. Of course, this is the Netflix version of Deep Cover, but what do you do when you already have a Deep Cover and you don't want this Deep Cover to be Deep Cover? We're going to do a similar thing that we did with Sideswipe, and of course in the Alpha Strike Squadron, that black and red, like redeco, who I affectionately call Lambor. What are we going to do with this guy? Well, before we get into the character, we have to look at the packaging first. It is Netflix packaging. This cardboard feels exponentially thinner than the other cardboard I've experienced with this packaging. At least it does to me. We have a cardboard insert now instead of a clamshell. That's cool. I still like having a full screen on the front to see the entire character. You want to put a cardboard insert in? Fine. But I still like the bigger window screen. This does not come with any like pieces of a Teletran or anything like that. I guess they said, hey, we're taking out the clamshell thing, we're putting in a cardboard insert. Sorry, no more cardboard to go around. I guess. On the back, you know, image there. The War for Cybertron stuff there. On the back, there you go, your product images. Yeah, directions. We've seen them 100 times with this mold because it's been used now in like 9 or 10 times. Which means we can actually deal with the elephant in the room. So, we have 2 versions of Deep Cover, vastly different. One is primarily blue with black highlights and a lot of battle damage. The other is primarily black with blue highlights and no battle damage. One is Selects, well actually one is Netflix, the other is Selects if we're keeping an order of the coloration I mentioned. So here's kind of how it sort of played out based on the understanding that I've gleaned from like reading things and discussions and whatnot. When this was planned, a lot of people said, hey, there's going to be 2 versions of Deep Cover. That's weird. It's going to be Deep Cover and Autobot Deep Cover. And we were told that one is most likely supposed to be a Cybertronian mode, while the other is supposed to be an Earth mode. And we got this, and these are both Cybertronian modes. The kind of going consensus that I've read, that I've understood, now this could be complete nonsense, but this is kind of the going consensus as it's been relayed to me, is that the lad that is primarily blue with the battle damage is when he was on Cybertron, when he is part of the battle. Even though he just looks like the blue Sideswipe that we saw in the Netflix series that I don't think ever got a name. But he's been ascribed as Deep Cover. And the primarily black version of him with the kind of police badge insignias is after he goes to Earth and starts working with Earth law enforcement. So the Selects is supposed to be his Earth mode, although I've never seen a car that looks quite like that. Maybe you have in your area of the world. And the Netflix one is supposed to be the way he is on Cybertron. That doesn't sit well with me. To me, they're going to be 2 separate characters. I did say, when I looked at the Selects lad back in episode 845, that I felt like there may be the starts of some mold degradation, because one of the shoulders, specifically this shoulder, is pretty loosey-goosey on my copy. Luckily, a lot of people have come back to me since and said, no, theirs is fine, so maybe mine is just a one-off. What about the Netflix lad? How is the tolerances on him? Well, let's kind of get into our grades, because we're not going to have to show the transformation here. We all know the transformation, right? So, first things first, when it comes to coloration, the Selects one is pretty close. It's a solid like 9.5 or so, based on the eHobby kind of repaint of the Sideswipe mold. It is really, really accurate to that. When we look at the Netflix one, for being a version of Deep Cover, it's a 1. I mean, it has blue and black, but it's not at all laid out remotely correctly. So it's a 1. However, my plan is to rename him into Vanguard. And Vanguard, for those in the know, was the little Action Master partner lad that came with Action Master Sideswipe. He's not Sideswipe. A lot of other names are used. So I was like, you know what? The coloration is kind of Vanguard-ish with the gray and the white. By the way, I like that it's a play here of gray and white rather than, gray and blue rather than white and blue. I like that. It's a little more gritty. So I'm going to call the Netflix version of Deep Cover Vanguard. It's about the closest sensible homage I can come up with. And if you look at Vanguard, this guy, honestly, it's about an 8 for that coloration. So it's perspective, I suppose. I'm going to split the difference. I'm going to say that he looks nice. So I'm going to be subjective this time around and say that I think he looks nice. I wish he didn't have the battle damage on him, so I'm going to give him a 7. But if he's a Deep Cover, he's only a 1. He's not Deep Cover. What about the articulation for the guy? Well, for every other version of the mold, I have said that the articulation is a 10, even though I should have knocked the mold originally for a lack of wrist swivel. I didn't do it then, I can't start doing it now. So what about the new guy, and what are his tolerances like? Oh well, our new guy here, he does have a head that goes left and right. By the way, I didn't show his shoulder mounted thing. The front is cast in gray, the back is cast in black, there's no paint on it. But there's a ton of paint on his body, that's where it's made up. So the head goes left, right, up, down, nice and solid. The shoulders all the way around and out. And of course we have our bicep swivel and our elbow, don't have our wrist. I'm telling you now, both arms are very tight. The shoulders, the swivel, the elbow, everything very, very tight. Waist, we have a nice solid waist. Legs all the way out to the side. Back, forward. We have our knee. My knees were like, it almost seemed like they were, I couldn't bend them at first. So I was a little bit afraid. I don't know. I don't know why they were so tight, but they did bend. Thigh swivel again. Ankle tilt, as we've seen. Like, yeah, it has everything, and the tolerances are stupendous. So, in all honesty, I'm going to say that it's still a 10. And this gives me some hope that maybe the mold might have a little bit of life left in it yet, and that shoulder issue on my Selects Deep cover is just mine, and actually, hopefully, not mold degradation. The transformation, again, it's as good as it's ever been. I'm going to say it too is probably a 10, but we're going to see, because we're going to go from this guy looking like this to him in his alt mode. And like, the amount of paint here is astonishing. Like the doors, they're great plastic that's been painted blue. I think all of the blue is paint. I really do. I don't think any of the blue is blue plastic. I think it's all paint. And if I'm wrong about that, man, I stand corrected, but I think it's all paint. The tires are colored in, the tail lights are colored in. Too bad we have the kind of too bad we have the like battle damage on the front. I really wish we didn't, but I wouldn't try and take it off here because I think you would take off some of the blue paint. It's not worth it to me. But yeah, I like the blue car. Look, I said it with the other one. I loved the black, and I loved the black and blue interplay. Same thing here. I really, really dig this look. The transformation, because of all the paint, actually some of the tolerances are a bit tighter. So first things first, I put these up here rather than like way up here or on the side. But I mean, to each their own. And we have the spaces up here to do that. Issues, not even issues, but things to note with the transformation. So tabbing these leg pieces in here on the back, where they go into the two little holes, where the little rectangular tabs go into the holes, super duper tight, like uncomfortably tight. But I think that's because the kind of space in that slot that's taken away with the paint, with the blue paint, I think actually does affect it a bit. I think. Besides that, I found that flipping this piece up was a little bit loose. Not much, nothing worth writing home about, and not even anything I would say is mold degradation, but I feel like it was the loosest section of this that we've encountered yet. That being said, once you push it all the way up, it does still lock in, and you can kind of feel it softly lock in, so like it's not going to droop down or anything. Like it's fine. Again, I'm going to say that the transformation here is a 10. So all in, what do we have? We have a 7 for the paint apps because as much as I like it, it's not deep cover. I got to be realistic here, though I do love it, and there's a ton of it. The articulation, again, I'm going to say 10. The transformation, again, I'm going to say 10. It is a great version. If we're going as this guy being Vanguard, again, I'm going to say that the articulation is 10, the transformation is 10. Then I would give the paints, I guess, deco higher, maybe a 9. It is another successful use of this mold. If you didn't like it before, this might not change your mind. If you did like it before, this is pretty beautiful. And here we are once again, and here he is. So, yeah, going consensus, Cybertronian deep cover, and the other one that's mostly black is the Earth mode. I don't know if I buy it. I do think that renaming this guy as Vanguard is probably the best way to go. Probably, maybe. You know, somebody more creative might come up with some different names, but I love the coloration here. I love the gray, the black, and the blue. I think that, again, just to reiterate, I think that having the crud on him is a shame, but some people dig it. I am happy with this, and the thing that I'm happiest about is that every joint is solid and secure. Everything is painted so much here, like he's slathered in it. There is a ton here to like. The relationship between these two is very much like the relationship between Sideswipe and then the Alpha Strike Squadron version that I use as Lambor. It's the same sort of thing where the colors get inverted. Either you like the blue and the black color scheme together, or you don't. It's all up to you. Let me know what you think about the Netflix War for Cybertron version of Deep Cover. I appreciate you guys coming by, give me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use that donate link. Check us out on Patreon, see what we offer to you through Teespring, or of course hit the join button right here on YouTube, baby. become a channel member. While you're at it, hit that subscribe button, stick around, have a blast with us. We do a lot here on the channel. Don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single day you do make a difference. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.